G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by the Astropub, or Paul, and Croncy is back again. Filling in for people left, right, and centre, Croncy. I really appreciate it.
Look, anytime.
Yes, it's great. It's great to have you, and it's good to have another opinion. I'm always after different opinions. So I'm going to kick it right across to the browser again today. I think before we get started, the first thing I want to say is this webhouse design is terrible. You actually have to click the manufacturer and then scroll down to the ships and then back up. So it's a little clunky. So bear with me today. I do also want to talk about the alien tax briefly, or not briefly, but what's your guys' thoughts on the alien tax and the validity of it? So we'll go to the fresh face Croncy down the end, and you tell us your thoughts, Croncy. How do you feel about alien tax?
Well, I mean, it sucks, but if I'm not mistaken, it feels like it's been less of a thing. I don't remember how much the Raylan originally got put on sale for, but I vaguely remember thinking that it was originally put on sale for roughly the same sort of price that I would have expected ships that weren't alien. So we might not see much of it going forward, and hopefully we don't.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. It does seem to have taped. I think it. Well, I'll go on to Paul and say, Paul, I think it maximized out with the Prowler. Yeah. That's kind of where I
think that's the case. And I think the important thing to understand about the alien tax is alien tax exists because CIG does not want you to buy alien ships. In some cases, because they want it to be rare. In some cases, they just want to make sure that it's that they're just to disincentivize you from buying it, because they want to want to have a certain ratio of ships, of alien ships to human ships. They don't want, like, if something like a Cartual is super good, they don't want like every human player to be flying a Cartual. They want to make it so that it has some drawbacks. But as the lore has been pushed forward, a lot of these ships are easily available to humans on a regular basis, especially Xi'an ships. So like the Gatak, Raylan makes a lot of sense to be like super affordable, because it's like Xi'an are trying to push into the market. So again,
that makes sense.
As an evangelist of the lore for Star Citizen, people don't pay attention to it. Like, the lore does tell you a lot about what their plans are, because they usually translate whatever is going on in the lore or whatever is going on behind the scenes in game into the lore. So the lore will then essentially telegraph a lot of what they're trying to do. So I'm just
sitting here realizing, as I'm listening to you too, the other thing about the Prowler is it probably falls under the combat tax a bit as well, because it's a military. So it got a double whammy. So that's probably why that one was so bad. I think you'll both agree, though. The other thing is, I think a lot of these alien ships will be locked behind, now it's in-game, the reputation system. And so you'll have to go somewhere to grind to get it. And I think that's... Well, you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think that'll kind of be with a lot of ships, like these rare or more expensive things. They'll be behind some kind of grind. So like an 890 jump, you might have to, like, I don't know, polish some CEO's statue or something. I don't know. Take your pick there. But yeah. All right. Well, now we've kind of got that out of the way. So that kind of does briefly kind of explain why these ones are a little bit more expensive than usual. Let's just kick it off the bat. Croncy, the Cartual. Love it or hate it. I think it's a little, I don't know, it's had a bit of a scattered past. So what's your thoughts on it, and what's the goods and the bads and the ugly about this one?
So this is actually, unbelievably, my favorite fighter in the game.
Really?
Straight up. I think it's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but that's fine. I really enjoy flying this around. I think it is one of the cooler, more unique looking ships, as obviously every one of these ships is going to look very unique. They are alien designed. But as it goes, I just like flying it. I enjoy flying it. And now that we've had the combat changes, which obviously we'll have more balance changes in the future, but now that it is the most maneuverable ship in the game, it makes it a little bit cooler for that aspect too. Price makes it iffy, but definitely one that I grind for in game all the time.
I have to ask the question now. Have you gone back and looked at the original concepts of this ship?
I have not. That is before my time.
Paul, do you want to tell him? I think you should tell him, because you're the lore guy. So please tell him what he could have had.
It was a 2-seater ship that was designed to be kind of like a scout craft. It originally was supposed to have some insane vector engines. So like the engines would, like, instead of having like maneuvering thrusters, those 4 engines in the back were supposed to basically like maneuver around the ship and like kind of flip it around like a squid almost as it was like moving around. So it would be able to like stop on a dime and then change direction really quickly to make it more alien. So it was supposed to be insanely maneuverable and insanely good, and then they just kind of didn't do that. They cut the second seat out, and then they made it because it became too difficult. So they just kind of went back to just it just looks different, you know.
And it looks like, with connecting a lot of the dots in the wall too. You can correct me if you don't agree with me here on this, Paul, too. But the Zion people are very big on exploring, and I'd have to go back and look at all the evidence I had. But I clearly believe that this ship was the wormhole navigation ship, like the one for charting wormholes, and it made sense with the two people, like one person scanning and one person flying. And now it's lost that. I'm not sure it's going to have that as much, but yeah. So it wasn't necessarily a fighter like you call it. It was more of a, almost akin to the Terrapin. Yeah, a scout.
Yeah,
but it was
called a scout.
Well, what I mean is, it was more Terrapin than fighter, is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, it's hard to check it.
I can see with having that sort of expectation for what the ship was going to be, I can see why that would be disappointing. So luckily, I don't have to be disappointed. I really like the ship.
That's that. Yeah, I'm not cheating on it. I'm just letting you know that's why we're all disappointed.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I'll just say with the Cartual as well. I like it for what it's become. I think it has a bright future ahead of it, because those twin size 4s, they kick. They can hurt.
Yeah.
So
they do.
A good pilot with those fixed size 4s can do some damage.
You can.
The problem is it's just got that big flared like you can hit it from a mile away because it's bigger than it actually should be.
You know, what it reminds me of, when you put like just the repeaters on it, like I think they're Rhino repeaters, the size 4s, is the Slave 2 from Star Wars, because it's got that same verticality, and you just like I'm not gonna. I can see the comments already now. I'm getting pew 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 sounds in the comments, but yeah. All right. So let's go into the Nox. This is an interesting one for me this year, because we know they've just kind of like apparently had a big breakthrough in Gravlev tech. So does that make vehicles more appealing to you guys? Because they're never really the best value. I can't recommend them on value. But for streamers, you guys kind of fall into a different bracket because they're great to show stuff off. So knowing Paul, he's got 10 of them. But yeah, tell me, Paul, what's your take on them?
The problem with the Nox is still, like, we still have to wait until the Gravlev tech, the new Gravlev tech, is implemented, which is supposedly 316. I think that's even locked in at this point. It may not be, but the problem is that the Nox is like it flips around. It's a bucking bronco. Like when you're flying it is okay. The second you get off, it'll just like bounce off the ground and fly around and floop around. Like it's just no way it's stable enough to really get on and get off of.
And of the I was just gonna say, of the ground ones, it was the one that was the best in a straight line. It was kind of like a street racer, where for me, the one that's probably the best at the moment is the Dragonfly, because that's the 4x4, so to speak, of that range. So it wasn't the best with all the rocks, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. I think it's one of those things where it's obviously, as you said, it's not a good value to purchase, like, period. It's $45 as a game package, you know?
Get in
game
Aurora.
package has a lot more value than this. But in game, it might be a good idea to at least rent and try it out before you buy it if you're interested in it. And if you want to get some cool, a cool alien bike, it's great. I mean, I've seen people on Twitter call it like the closest thing to an Akira bike next to the Ranger. So if you're an anime fan, you're a weeb like myself, then this might be a cool Animu hover bike.
I don't know how you can follow that, Croncy, but go for it.
Well, I was lucky enough to participate in the Stanton 7 this year, where we got to use the Nox in a more sort of official capacity. And I will say it was one of the more fun races was using this one. And I mean, it is a racing vehicle. So if you are part of the racing community and, that is a bit more your jam, I think the Nox does have a little bit over the Dragonfly in terms of at least fun abilities. So,
Okay. I've just noticed something too. You guys both share a love of miniatures. I didn't even think of that until just then, because I know Croncy works at a store that sells them and you paint them. Anyway, you might have something to talk about later. Santoki Eye.
We have discussed this.
Okay, sorry, I just realized I just had the epiphany.
Yeah.
Santoki Eye at the original price, like I think it's 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later since its originally been announced. So I think to me that kind of says not on the cards soon.
Well, here's the thing: it's been on the progress tracker, so it's definitely being worked on.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like I think this may be the last time we see it at this price because I think we'll start seeing it next year. If it's still on the progress tracker, I'm gonna double check it right now to make sure it is. But I did remember seeing it on the progress tracker at one point. So I know it's being worked on.
Now, before I get a response from you, Croncy, I think Paul and I may agree, and some other viewers in the comments might let us know as well, but this is what I thought the kind of Scout was going to be. I think it's more akin to that fighter mentality. So does this ship kind of like, have you got interested at all, Croncy, because it is more of an up Cartwell? I'm just curious.
I mean, yeah. It's hard to gauge medium fighters. It's really, really hard to gauge medium fighters until they're in game, and even then, there's so many balance changes. But like, I mean, I'm keen. I just need to see it actually in game first before I can really judge it.
Right.
You know.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Well, maybe we'll check back with you when. Hey, look, we'll try and maybe we should get him on for a buyer's guide when that one comes out. We'll try and get you to come along and give us your final thoughts.
I double checked it. It's no longer on the progress tracker if it was on the progress tracker. So yeah, I think with that being said, it's probably not in the cards.
I think when we last looked at this, and it's been a while, on paper this was one of the strongest fighters in the game, especially the maneuverability and stuff like that. I'd have to refresh myself. It honestly has been a while. But yeah, from what I remember, on paper it's very, very strong. But that also comes with that aggressive price point of 220. And there are now more expensive fighters. It was the most expensive fighter until the Ares came along, and obviously the Ares is built for a different thing. I would imagine this would destroy an Ares. But yeah, as Croncy put it, you're kind of waiting and seeing there. All right, so that's it for the Apollo. So I'm going to go up and go back to the Banu. And what do we got today? Everyone's Ming Vase of space, the Defender. I'm going to say I really loved this ship when it was... Yeah, I saw that, Paul. I saw that. I really wanted to love this ship, and it had those unique cannons that they removed. Unfortunately, that's too green, Paul. But nicely done. I don't know. I'll let you speak about it, Paul, because you're obviously mocking the shit out of it. But
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Banu. I love the crab. The space crab is fantastic. It is no longer the darling child of PvP anymore. So it's got its ups and downs. But for what it has, it's not a. I know people who use this ship as their main fighting ship, and they do pretty well. She's got a thin profile straight on, so it's very difficult to hit her. And then her actual fuselage is very small, even when you're looking at it face on.
Low profile.
So, yeah, the profile itself is not that bad. And because you also have to hit the spindly arms. The problem is that if your arms go, you're out of weapons.
So, yeah, she's shockingly bad when one arm comes off too. She does this whole spin thing. I was just going to point out...
She's got the reliant problem where like one wing goes and suddenly it's just dead. So.
Redeemer's got that too at the moment, actually. If one of the engines go, she's uncontrollable. But if you lose two, funnily enough, she's perfect. But yeah, actually they had the fight or fight on the weekend, and Salty Mike was using this, and he actually made it into the last round of the entire competition with the Banu Defender. So that may change some people's perspective on that. So yeah. Croncy, your thoughts on the Ming Vase of space, or maybe we should call it the Ming Crab of space? I don't know.
Ming Crab.
Look, it looks cool and it's got a good QT effect. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Oh! Sounds like there's a little bit of hatred there, but okay, all right, I'll leave it. Banu Defender, I think. Well, with what we saw during AIE, why would you not want to, like, even at 550, this thing's still a steal. Like, sorry? What was that, Croncy?
Not Defender.
What did I said? Defender. Sorry. Old man head. Sorry. This thing is going to be at least the price of the 890 in my book when it's all said and done. Croncy, your thoughts on the Merchantman?
Yeah, SitCon was a huge eye opener about just like where this is going, and it's currently being worked on right now. I am fully expecting 2 more price rises before release, and probably one on release itself. So yeah, this ship is insane. It's basically an 890 at this stage in terms of a lot of its scale. So yeah, I'm keen. I'm keen to get in one. Not keen to buy one, but keen to buy some stuff from someone's BMM.
Maybe that's something we should look at. So, Paul, real quickly, why do you think it didn't go up?
I think it didn't go up because they raised the price of the Caterpillar, and they're trying to get people like CIG does some weird things where you think they would probably raise the price because all of these things came out, they don't, because they want to hold off, because like I can almost guarantee you the Banu Merchantman is probably going to end up in an Invictus sale somehow. You know, and that's when it's going to go up in price just a little bit. And then when it comes out next CitizenCon, which is my guess is when it comes out, you know, for real, because it's being worked on actively. It is actually on the progress tracker. Then it will probably end up going to its final price there. So because they did it with several concept ships where like they know that the people knew there was being worked on, and so they just like kept it at a lower price, and the next year they raised it, and then you know slowly until they got to the release. So
and it was that ship that a lot of people picked up for the $0 CCUs back in the day, so they would know how many people have Banu Merchantman, so they're probably trying to avoid people side of loading with CCUs to other things, and if they keep it where it is, that stops them getting more. There's not many big ships there left, but like there's still some big jumps there, so you could get cheaper Polarises and stuff like that. So maybe it's to try and avoid getting multiple numbers of those bigger ships as well. I'd have to really analyze that for a couple of hours to give you actually a proper answer, but yeah, I think you're right. A lot of it's got to do with marketing at some point there. All right. And that's it for the Banu. Short and sweet for the 2. We move on to Aspiria now. I think looks-wise, these ships, with what we've seen recently, they are very tempting. That new look is amazing. But function, not so hot. Croncy, what's your thoughts on the old glaive here? Wait, is the glaive or the blade? I think it's the blade. No, it's the blade. Sorry, blade.
Really hard to justify that price. Really hard. But a very cool ship nonetheless. Obviously, we're not going to see very many of these sort of ships until like other Vandal ships until we see more from Squadron 42. But from what I'm seeing, I'm liking it, and if anything, it's just getting me more hype for Squadron 42. So love the redesigns, love the look. Yeah, big fan, but don't like the price.
Yeah, very hard to justify that. Like when I think of the Redeemer that was at $250 and that's $275, it's like what? But anyway, well, the Redeemer's now $325, but I digress. But you get my point. Paul, your thoughts on the blade?
Like the Buccaneer, the blade is designed to be an enemy you shoot at. It's not really designed to be a good ship. I think it may eventually get some time to shine, being that it's a light fighter and light fighters are pretty popular, but it suffers from the fact that it's just not a very popular ship, never has been, and its price is way high for what it actually is worth. So
I think that's probably a really good analogy for all Vandal ships. So I would carry that on to the glaive as well. I don't know, unless you guys want to go short and sweet here, because I can go kind of short and sweet on these Vandal ones. They are just not a good recommendation. These are probably the reason that give the alien ships their bad name. Unless you guys want to specifically talk about the glaive, I'm happy to just skip a lot of the Vandal ones, but it's up to you guys. Do you guys want to say anything, or?
It follows pretty much the same stuff as the blade. It's got a great design. It looks really cool, but it's not exactly a fun ship to fly. And you know, it's just really expensive. So, you know,
at $350, like that's a Crucible or an Endeavor. Just like put that in your pocket for a minute and let that digest. That's actually more expensive than a Starfarer.
It's close to a Redeemer. Let's just put it that way. It's closer to a Redeemer.
Yeah,
or a Vanguard. You know.
Your thoughts on the Prowler, Paul? We did talk about this briefly a little bit before. So I think visually it's
Overpriced.
awesome, but you tell me.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I love the visuals. It handles really nicely. It's a great little like unique ship. It like if you want something that's unique to in Star Citizen and is like mwah, like very like aesthetically pleasing but still alien, the Prowler is fantastic. It's just way overpriced for what it does. You know, its main guns, I believe, are like size 4s on the thing, or size, you know, 2 size 4s. So its guns are pretty powerful, but for the size of the ship and the cost of the ship, it's like, like even now with like the Redeemer, with the Valkyrie, with the Hoplite, and then like things like the Liberator that exist, like the Prowler is like, I think we'll see it grow a little bit because its original role was like EVA boarding actions. So when that sort of stuff starts becoming more prevalent, I think the Prowler will start becoming a little bit more interesting. But for the price that it is right now, that's a hopium wish list that just I wouldn't buy it off of, just not at all.
And that price thing too, when it came out, where the Hoplite was actually more expensive in game than it was, kind of told me a lot about alien tax, like just straight off the bat. And it was a poster child. Yeah, the Prowler was cheaper in game than the Hoplite was, but out of game they were completely the opposite. And that we'd been saying watch for that for a while, and it was the first ever evidence. And I know they've changed it in game now, so the Prowler is actually now more expensive. But I'd have to go check the prices again. Croncy, your thoughts on the Prowler?
Yeah, this feels like one that I'm more likely going to be seeing a bunch of NPCs drop out of during some sort of mission than seeing any players use. Stealth, like it does sort of have this concept of like stealth dropship as well, which I don't think is going to be a particularly major part of any FPS gameplay going forward, necessarily. If I was going for a dropship, I'd just go for a Valkyrie. Honestly, it's a much finer ship.
Yeah, and it's like what, almost $100 more for this, and that does more more troops and vehicles. So yeah, it's definitely not the most versatile. All right, now this is a ship that I can't recommend based on value, but I know as streamers, both of you boys have flown this. So and it was meta for a while, wasn't it? It was the meta. So Croncy, pros and cons of the Talon.
I think it's a fantastic ship. Honestly, I really, really like the Talon. It's got some beefy damage. It's got like each variant has exactly what you need it to have. And so you can sort of, if you are the kind of person that wants to missile spam, you've got that sweet. As well as, honestly, just the fact that it's got this iridescent paint scheme that we don't have anywhere else is like 50% of the value to me. So
yeah. It's definitely easy on the eye. What about the two variants? Do you see validity in both of them, or is one clearly superior to the other?
Not as much right now, but I fully expect them to fit into their roles okay in the future.
Okay. Your thoughts, Paul?
The Talon is and should be a fantastic ship. I like just the lore nerd in me is like that's history. It belongs in a museum, you monsters. But it's a great ship. It flies really fun. It makes weird fun noises when it flies. It was the meta. It will probably come back as a meta at some point. And the Shrike, while the Shrike isn't as good as the regular Talon now, I think as missiles start to develop more, that Shrike, especially for like ground attack missions, which is the Talon was supposedly really good at.
Yeah.
Like when you start seeing like good legitimate like reasons to strike a ground target, you know, things like the Talon will start to show why they're good, because they can just so maneuverable in atmosphere, can get down, attack target, pull up really quickly. You know, those missiles, you can just unload an ungodly amount of missiles on that thing onto a target. So it's one of those ships that was good for its own specific reason, now is no longer as good. And I think in the future will start to shine a little bit more. But for right now, I mean, the price isn't bad. I think what is it? Yeah, it's $115. Like for the price you get for it, it's pretty pretty like okay. It's fairly on par with something like a Gladius, maybe a little bit more because of alien tax. But you know,
I remember when we looked at it when it came out, it was very similar on paper to the Arrow, and so it was just like once you kind of accounted for the alien tax, it was similar to that, because the main thing what we could find was it's bigger than an Arrow, so you technically can't put as many of them on the deck of a carrier or whatever, but it had very similar maneuverability, where the Arrow was very good at I think it was turning left and right faster, but this one turns nose to end faster. That was the interesting thing. They both had similar speeds. They were just inverted in some form, and obviously the one's bigger, because like if you trimmed all the wings, so to speak, like cut all the feathers off the back, it's basically the same size as an Arrow. It's just got all these frilly bits on it. So I can definitely see the appeal, and like Croncy said, that look is, you can't surpass it in a fighter, quite honestly. All right. Gattack with only one ship. I've scrolled too eagerly. The Raelian. So, Croncy, your thoughts on the Raelian, please.
I like it. A lot of people hate on me for liking it. I really like the Raelian. I think it's got a decent amount of cargo for its role. I think that it's got reasonable enough defense. And more importantly, it's a new manufacturer, which means alien mining ship, 100% confirmed, coming soon.
You heard it here first.
Hey, I wouldn't rule it out. No, seriously, I wouldn't rule that out. That could be a real thing, knowing the marketing department.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, once again, obviously, need to see it in game. A lot of these sort of medium-sized ships, it's hard to get a grasp on them until they actually come out. Hopefully, we'll see some more stuff on it Alien Week next week. I don't expect its price to rise necessarily, so I don't know.
Do you know what it was? Do you know what it was a replacement for?
I used to know. I don't remember anymore.
Man. It's the there goes my phone. It's it replaces the role of the Banner Merchantman, because the Banner Merchantman's increased so big in size, and it was a merchant clipper ship or a blockade runner, and that's exactly what this is. So they've just swapped it from one alien to another one. So yeah. Paul,
it was smaller too. Yeah.
Your thoughts, Paul?
Back then,
please.
I used to think that this ship was pointless, but looking at it now with its insane cargo capacity, I know a lot of people are like, well, I'll just take a Caterpillar, but you won't be able to take a Caterpillar for the same kind of price in the future, because the Caterpillar is getting a price increase. You know that's going to happen, and the Caterpillar is already more expensive than the Raelian.
And you're into smuggling too, Paul, so this would have to be up your alley, surely.
It's close. I mean, the only disadvantage of it for smuggling is that it's got exterior cargo. So in the future, when scanning targets is going to be a problem, that might be a problem. But its interior, it's got like it's being built for the game that Star Citizen is going to be, rather than what Star Citizen is currently. So it's got internal, like a luxurious internal like crew quarters. Like the entire inside of that ship is designed for like maintenance and for living in. So it's one of those ships that living out of it, doing long haul cargo missions is an option. It's not that bad. It's not like a hull where you're just like crammed into a cockpit and you have have like a crummy bed in the back and just good luck. It's not, and it's not like a Drake Caterpillar that makes it look like you feel like you're gonna have tetanus when you walk in through those places. Piled into double bunks inside the only place you're going to eat as well. It doesn't sound like a very, very fun place to live in. This is much more designed for luxury. It's kind of like an upscale,
Alien Origin. Is it what I'm hearing?
It's like a cross between like a MISC ship and an Origin ship.
Okay,
it's like if Origin did heavy freight, which they used to do. So
interesting.
I
also think. Go ahead.
At the very least, it has a scratch pad. If you're looking for scratch pad gameplay,
scratch your back.
Beat me to the punch. That's what I was going to talk about, but it's all good. There's all these memes of turtles going through combs and stuff like they do in real life, and it's literally got one of those on it. There's some developer must have found that and go, I'm putting this in the game, because he was looking for turtle references or something. But I also think it'll give us the first interior look at officially released of Zion ships, because we haven't seen anything of the Zion. Do you remember one day on Inside Star System, like it must be 3 or 4 years ago now, Paul, and they had that Zion ship, and they just showed it off and with all that fancy animation, and then nothing ever again. It was just this one-off, and we've never ever seen anything. So I don't know. Maybe it is this ship. Maybe it's something else. I'd hazard it's something else, but yeah. All right, so that'll be our first look at that. All right, the CCU for today is obviously the Cartwal, which Croncy, you're going to remind me because I totally forgot. What was it? $10 and it $5 and it saves $10. That's what it was. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. I think so. Yeah,
I think that's what it was. So you can get it for $5 and save $10. Another one to put in the bank if you're trying to get that chain together. Last but not least, I'm going to go through the skins. I did forget a really big one yesterday. The Hammerhead, and this is the first skins we've ever seen for the Hammerhead. Your guys' thoughts on those skins, real quick? Just give me your opinions.
I'm a bit sick of snow camo at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
We're
getting it a lot. I would like to see some other stuff, but for a snow camo, it looks pretty decent. I don't hate it. I just would like to see some other stuff. And then with the black blue skin, it just seems like we're sort of getting like a IAE light skin for a couple of things, which is cool. And I think it looks pretty nice on the Hammerhead.
The AIE ones are kind of the opposite, so they're more blue with the black. So they are definitely AIE light though. And just on that note, I wasn't going to say anything, but I put one of these on the Redeemer. It looks like a dairy cow. I'm going to leave it there. These guys have got it off of me before. I'm going to leave it there. Then we've got what else do we have? This really nice new one for the Cartwal, which is actually cheaper. I actually prefer that. And again, some kind of white. This is meant to be the camo one, but I don't think it really comes off. I like the black one. Paul, what's your thoughts on the Scout skins?
I like them. I like the black one better than the reverse IAE, best in show. The white one's all right. It looks kind of like an executive edition more than a camo. Like it looks like
I can see that.
It looks like a fancy paneled like sports car sort of thing. These are the first skins we've had for a Cartwal other than the red. So I like the differences, any kind of variation.
And I'm not going to ask Croncy because he's brought them both. It's pretty obvious to me, but I'll just move on. Back to the Ming Space Crab. This one doesn't really sell me because I think you lose a lot of that detail on the outside of the Defender. I actually think it makes it look worse. And I think I just, like Croncy said with the camo skin, I just, why? I don't know. Your thoughts there, Croncy? Because I think you kind of agree they're a bit meh.
Yeah, pretty much. With the blue black skin on that one, I feel like it actually loses a lot not having any color in between the two between the two seats. It looks a bit weird to me that way. But yeah,
and I've noticed that on a lot of these skins, they really do lose the detail of the default. I could literally strangle Paul. No, literally go look at the Redeemer, and I was looking at the skins like it had all these decals, and then as you go into the white skins like the Polar and the white one, they didn't just invert the decals or anything like that. They're just gone, and so technically you're paying money and getting less. And I was like, and I've seen that the other day. I can't unsee it on everything. I'm just noticing that there is this certain lack of detail that's just not transferring across, and I'd like them to fix that, please. All right. With that, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there if I can click the right button. Where can people find you, Croncy, if they want to get in touch with you?
Twitch.tv/Croncy. I'm streaming currently every day during IAE. And you make me do this while I've got pushed to talk. It's so hard. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry.
And Croncy1 on Twitter.
Yeah, cool. And Paul, where can people find... now, I said ugly mug to see the other day, and he did not get the Australian vernacular, so do not take that as offense. But where can people find your ugly mug on the interwebs?
I know what the ugly mug is. I get that.
Cool.
We use it here in the US.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. It's an old like gangster term from the 20s, but Twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub. I'm live on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can catch me doing gameplay streams on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And then I do Captain Stable, which both of these wonderful gentlemen have been on before. And on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. And then I do my office hours on Thursday, which is kind of like a general conversation. But this week, I'm also doing lore tours. I'm going through the entirety of the floor of IAE every day and going over the lore of every ship on the floor. And it's if you like long form content, 30 minutes to an hour every day, then
you like a good bedtime story. Yep.
Yeah. You want a good bedtime story? Okay, put you to sleep. Paul's voice is putting me to sleep.
Yeah. We'll get Space Tomato for that. There's a particular Inforunner that really loves the voice of Space Tomato. Anyway, I was going to say, you've also got some new equipment recently too, so you're looking a lot sharper and suave. So it's good
DSLR, which is nice.
Makes a big difference. And you've been doing ship tour things as well too, haven't you, Croncy? Live on stream, just like literally as it rolls over. I've noticed you've been doing that too. So
yeah, at the cost of my sleep cycle. So please come watch.
Yes, I think we're all losing the sleep cycle, and every content creator I talk to at the moment is going through the same thing. So everyone's trying to get that content out to you guys. All right, well, with that, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh God, what's tomorrow? I've forgotten what the day is, but we'll work it out. Crusader. Oh, well, there's going to be a lot of people for that one. Yeah. All right. So he's been the Astropub. He's been Croncy. I've been Execute, and we'll catch you tomorrow.